So, hello, I am Jen Roberts. I believe I'm connected to both of you online, and we probably met up at a networking event, if nothing else. And so, I am a time creation coach. And so, I do one on one coaching, and I also do a lot of presentations and workshops for groups, organizations, and companies on time management, productivity, and managing your limited time, energy, and attention. So, that's me. And I decided to do this to don't list workshop because I hate New Year's resolutions. I don't make them. I don't find them helpful. I can barely stick with a 30 or 90-day goal. So, how would I expect myself to stick with a goal that takes 12 months? I cannot do it. So, I get bored way too easily and lose track of it way too easily. The stats show that I am not alone in that, so we'll talk about those here in a second. But if you would like to, I would love it if you would introduce yourself and just tell me a little bit about why you were interested in this class. Lindsay's going to go first because she's already unmuted.
So just came across it on LinkedIn and I was really excited. Let me know if you can hear me. I dropped this down. I'm in Sarah, so I'm trying to be quiet. Um, so I don't know. I just feel like with a 3-year-old and running my own business, I am having harder times with time management because if we were at home, I heard Kelsey just say that her daughter's coloring right now. If she knows I'm on a call, because I frequently have Zoom calls with my clients and stuff, it could be like 12 seconds before I hear her sprinting down the hallway to my office. So I'm like, just know that, just know that she could pop in at any time or I usually work when she's asleep. So I'm just trying to harness a little bit more of a time management thing now that she's in preschool a little bit more. Oh, and also my name is Lindsay and I own Lindsay K Consulting, which is a social media management company for nonprofits.
I have like so much solidarity for you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
My my daughter's 6 now, but when I started my business, we lost childcare, and like it was like I started my business, we lost childcare, and she was 3 at the time, and trying to do like heavy brain work while you've got a 3-year-old climbing on your head, it feels impossible, and time management feels impossible, and there's a lot of lack of sleep nights. So like I feel ya, so much solidarity there. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Good. I'm glad
So
I'm not the only
Kelsey,
one.
does it
yeah,
get better?
it does get better. It does. Now we're on day 2000 of this winter break, and that does not help. But um, but yes, it does get better. So
I
uh,
was so excited that her preschool was open today because she was supposed to start on Tuesday. And I was like, I am losing my mind. We need a break from each other. I need a break from her. Like,
yeah,
oh my gosh.
yeah,
So when I
absolutely.
found out last night that they were open, I was like, thank God. I can't even. So
Yeah.
Well, so Kelsey,
it
tell
didn't.
us what you do.
Yeah, I own a nonprofit consulting business called Green Desk Grant Writing. We do anything from capital campaigns to grant writing to searching for grants and helping report. So we do that for both nonprofits and for small businesses. So that's what I do in a nutshell. This last year raised about $6 million for small businesses and nonprofits.
That's amazing.
And why did you decide to come this morning and give me half an hour of your precious time?
Um, because because I adore your time coaching business. Number one, if you're watching this replay, I worked with Jen in my role of being a small business owner and a mompreneur with Jen and helping create that things that need to get done but not done by you, just needing a refresh on that mantra. And I think a to don't list is definitely up that alley.
Awesome. Yes, it sounds good. Okay. So like I said, I do have some stats about why New Year's resolutions suck because I feel that way And you probably do too, or at least you know that something's got to change, right? You've been doing the same thing for a while, you've tried it off and on. It's not working for you, it's not getting you there. And this is the time of year where there's tons of information out there, tons of people telling you this is the way to do it, this is the way to do it. But this is a spin on it that I hadn't really seen. So I was like, okay, I can do that. So let me figure out how to share my screen because I'm really bad at Zoom for some reason, even though I've used it like every day for 2 years. Okay, so I think this is my slide. And thumbs up if you can see a slide. Okay, so New Year's resolutions suck. And eventually, hello, I might get some or not, some stats to pop up so you could see them as well. My presenter window disappeared and there it is. Maybe that'll help me. Get off screen. So here are some stats. So the research tells us that 23% of people who make a New Year's resolution actually quit within the first week. And then 43% of people quit by the end of January, and then around 80% are done or fail with their resolution by February. Now, if you have ever had a gym membership that you used regularly, I have, you know that January is the time where the hordes descend on the gym. And you have to just get through it and wait for about a month because by February, things will clear out again. Class sizes will be back to normal. Gym equipment will be available again when you want it, right? So I have seen this happen year after year when I was going to the gym regularly. And so, I've seen it in my life. I've seen it just in general with like anecdotal data, just from what I've seen around town as well. So why do we fail at these goals? It's not because we want to, right? We go into a new year, we have new energy and we're ready to do some changes and make our lives better. But a lot of times people make goals that are unspecific. So you think about go to the gym more, right? What does more mean? If it's not specific enough, is that like, if I go one time, if I go throughout January, did I reach my goal, right? Goals might be unrealistic and they might have a lack of planning, motivation, and accountability. So I know that's one of the parts that probably really hurt me and make it hard for me to stick to goals is that motivation and accountability. If I don't have someone to check in on with me, I'm likely to give up as soon as it gets hard. And that's some of that motivation as well. So another thing just to kind of stick in your brain, if it ever comes up again, and just kind of have in there to ruminate on. We're not going to really go over it today, but one time I attended this amazing presentation that my favorite takeaway from it was that when you're making goals and making plans, that you should start in that process accounting for when it'll get hard, right? So realize that it'll get hard, realize you might be tempted to give up or you might fail, and kind of try to guess what those sticking spots might be and deal with that and like make a plan for that ahead of time. So when I've done that, it has been a little more successful as well. So those are some stats on New Year's resolutions and why I feel confident saying they suck. So my solution this year is a to-don't list instead of a to-do list because everyone here, well, you two ladies are busy moms with your own businesses. You have a lot on your plate, a lot that you are juggling. So last fall, I went back to work part-time. So that changed things up for me. I don't have kids, so I don't have that challenge, or joy and both, but we all have things going on in our lives, things we're juggling. And if nothing else, there's just a lot of things, a lot of shit, honestly, that wants our time and attention that does not have our best interests at heart, right? Social media, internet stuff, ads, stuff like that. So I am tired of adding more to my plate in January, of being told I should add more to my plate. My plate's full, or at least it's as full as I want it to be, right? So one way to think about this too is there are different types of plates, right? Like if you go to a potluck or Thanksgiving or some type of group gathering, what type of plates do they provide you? Do you get a ceramic plate that can hold a lot of food? Or did you get one of those super flimsy paper plates that falls apart when you put 3 things on it, right? So different seasons and stages of life might kind of have a different plate. You might have different levels of resiliency in your life at different times. And that's okay. You're not failing because it'll come back around, right? Or not. I think about how much energy and how many things I did when I was in high school in my first year of college. And I'm like, who was that person? so, so now we're going to, one second here, I'm going to clear my throat. And you did not need to hear that. Getting over a cold, a New Year's cold. Thanks, New Year's. Um, so now we're going to take some time because I really like to incorporate the skill building in my trainings and presentations. I think it's important to not just dump information on you and put more on your to-do list. So we're actually going to take a few minutes right now to make a list of some of the things you want to stop doing this year. So I'm going to give you a few ideas just in case you want. It looks like you are ready to go, which is awesome. But it might be something as simple as I'm going to stop worrying about what people think about my social media posts or something like that, right? Or for me, I actually finally earlier this week, quit a volunteer gig that I had been hating for months. Finally did it. Finally. It was hard to let go of that obligation, but I was like, new year, to don't list, that's going on it. So I already did that, already cleared up some space. Excited to see how that feels. You can stop going to an event you dread. Maybe you want to stop avoiding calling your mom. I should be more intentional about my mom, but that's like, right? Like, that's like that. Not really a to don't, right? Maybe it's, I won't make rest a reward this year. Maybe it'll just be integral, important to my business and my health. So those are some ideas, but I'm sure you have your own. So grab your pencil, pen, and paper and scribble some stuff down for me. I'll give you just a minute here, probably.
She still pops in. It's just less frequent.
So hopefully you have three to five things on your list, maybe more, depending on how easy that was for you. So I put a couple more things on my list. Obviously, the examples I gave earlier are kind of based on my life and what I've already kind of decided to not do this year. But a couple of other things I just thought of. I want to stop hiring, working with clients I don't love. All the business advice says that. And I'm like, I knew it, but I still did it last year, right? I still accepted a client that I didn't really click with. And it was like pulling teeth to show up every week. And that wasn't the best experience for them. And it wasn't the best experience for me. So that's a goal because I've done that experience now. I feel like even if we know better, maybe we still have to do it to really understand it in our souls, I guess. And also, I need to stop forgetting that I am an expert. I let myself get intimidated by people really easily, especially if they have a fancy title or they work for a large organization, but I know what I'm talking about. Would anyone else like to share some of theirs?
Go, Lindsay. You're muted first.
Oh, okay. So I, along with Jen, would love to, like, even though it's a New Year's resolution, I picked a word, and my word was alignment, and that not doing anything that doesn't align with my faith, my family, my business. And so, right up there with not taking any clients that don't align, because I just stopped working with a client in August that I, it feels like more intuition than actual knowledge, but I just don't think that they were honest with the funds they were accepting and what they were doing with them. And so I was like, I just felt really sticky being with them. And I was like, okay, I need to find another client. Well, anyway, so not going to do that anymore. And then let's see. So on my list, I have thinking I alone need to tackle my list. I am super, super terrible about delegating and being okay with not doing it all, take on way too much. Stop feeling guilty for taking time to myself. That's like mom guilt is like nothing I've ever experienced. I didn't realize how intense and how constant it is. So, and also not letting stress bottle up to the point where I have a breakdown or I get super burned out and snippy. Those are my three things I wrote.
I feel like we need to have coffee at one of those Play Kid cafes. Um,
Yes, please. I
um,
would love that.
okay, so for mine, I'm going to stop staying up overnight because that's been a challenge. It's less of a challenge than it has been. Thanks to working with Jen with her time creation. But overscheduling Mondays. I've found more and more that I need to be more gentle to myself on Mondays because I am so overstimulated from being mom all weekend. Um, and then the cleaning guilt. I have a really amazing um, babysitter slash moving expert slash she's coming to clean my house for an hour today, and she's amazing. And I'm just gonna let myself have, have that time back and have that guilt back.
Awesome. I find it interesting that we all had different things, but they're all kind of in that same space, right? Of like holding ourselves to super high standards or needing to give ourselves more grace. Um, I think that's really normal. I think that advertising in society wants us to dislike ourselves so that we spend more money. Because my favorite soapbox is it's all capitalism. It all comes down to capitalism. But I don't need to go on that tangent. So next step, now that we have a few things that we'd like to not do this year, to let go of, to free up mental space, time space, energy space, whatever that is, but we need to make an action plan, right? So, how does that look? How does that actually work? Like, how will we know that we've won or done this correctly or like done this well, right? So, for today, since we're trying to keep this short, we have less than 10 minutes. Pick one thing and make a plan step by step, break it down as small as you can. Maybe we don't have time to break it down super small today, but so try to make some steps, right? Like, I don't know, I'm trying to think about how I would do this for forgetting I'm an expert, right? But anyway, so think about this yourself as well. And I will think about this and try to give an example here.
Let's say affirmations, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one. Yeah, I was like thinking about like maybe a plan is before I get on any new consult or any meet, go to a networking event, maybe I need to have a saying that I tell myself, an affirmation, or somehow to remind myself before I go into those places where I'm likely to have that imposter syndrome, that I do know what I'm doing and I have good information and expertise to share. So it can be as simple as that, right?
Yeah.
So, one of the ways that even as I'm writing this down for my action plan of saying an affirmation before a call or an event is that I'm liable to forget that. I am not a morning person, and a lot of networking events are in the morning. So, I'm only half awake, if that, when I get there. Right. So, probably I need to have a step when I'm scheduling an event to put a reminder in my phone to pop up before the event. Otherwise, I will not remember till afterwards, and I'll be like, dang it, I forgot again. So that's another way that I can make a plan and set myself up for success, right? Like I already thought about where is going to be the difficulty with this. And for me, it's going to be remembering to do it before I go into the event. So another step that I thought of that I could use to help me with this is putting it on a post-it note, right? Like when I decide what my affirmation is going to be or what my positive thought's going to be, I could put it on a post-it note and probably stick it up here near my camera, since that's what I use when I interact with people for consults and calls. So that might help me just start to make it a habit as well. Because I don't have a ton of networking events scheduled right now, although I could go in and put that reminder in for the ones I do have scheduled. That could be another step. I'm going to write that down. Anyone want to share or workshop what their plan is?
Sure. So with, there's a common theme with all of mine. One of those is like stop shuttling the kids to school every day and the cleaning guilt and stuff, and staying up overnight. One is to make enough time for work during the day. So when my kids are at school, making sure that the making sure that I have enough time during the day to work. So like shuttling the kids to school takes like an hour and a half because they go to two different schools on each end. So hiring Lily to take them to school twice a week helps. And also having her come and help clean for an hour helps. So everybody needs a Lily. Also, being consistent on my Friday power hours where my friend and I body double and we plan out our whole next week on Fridays, and make sure that time's getting used planned out efficiently.
Setting yourself up for success.
Yes.
Yeah. Are there any other things that you do during the day that you need to watch for that keep you from doing work?
Um, it's so I would say um I have the version of ADHD where like my environment has to be clean for me to settle into working. So making sure that I do kind of like a closing time ritual at night to make sure that my workspace is
Mhm.
tidy.
Nice. Yeah. Set yourself, excuse me again, set yourself up for success the next day. Or
Yes.
that's something I do virtually. So I had found at first when I started working for myself, I used to leave things up on my desktop so that I would, in theory, start with that the next day because it was something that I hadn't finished or was I thought would be like the priority the next day. And what I found is it just made me really scattered and didn't set me up for success because I like jumped into one thing before like doing my normal processes and things like that. So I've started just, I don't necessarily quit everything. I do quit my email, but like I just make sure I minimize all windows before I leave my desk for the day so that when I come in the morning, it's a fresh start there virtually.
I love that.
Yeah, that's very smart. I definitely don't do that. And I'm the same way. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I leave all my windows up, I'll be like, I'm going to do that first thing. And I get in there and I'm like, instead of starting fresh, I get overwhelmed immediately. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. That wasn't helpful.
So
On
try
my
that.
to-do list, yeah, I will try that because I seriously opened up my computer after working this morning and taking her to daycare. And I was like, okay. So I did the stop feeling guilty. So I said, which the last like breakdown burnout conversation with my husband was seriously like 4 days ago, I think. So, and so, because he was like, okay, something's going on with you. You're very sickly and your tone is not great with Harper. And I don't want her to resent you or like to pick up on that and be more of a three-nager than she already is. So, and I know I'm being like that. I don't want to be like that, but I was so stressed out, so exhausted, and just had too much. And so, one thing that he pointed out to me, he was like, okay, when I tell you to go take a break or to do something, it's not me being upset with you. You clearly need a break, so take that time. And um, and he said that me time does not equal productivity because I have the habit of being like, oh, yes, it will take time. And then I go work. And then I run downstairs and fold the laundry that's been on our couch for 2 days. And was like, he said, I know that makes you feel better. It's one more thing to check off the list. But he was like, that's not you time. Go read, go meditate, go draw, go paint, go do something that is only you and no time crunch. And I was like, that's really hard to do. Um, Stop feeling guilty for me time is it does help me be a better partner and better mom. And so thinking about that versus being like, oh my gosh, I'm missing time with my husband and my daughter right now. Like,
And
no, you need this.
being that being willing to be vulnerable and accept when he says, hey, I've noticed you probably need this and not feel attacked or defensive. That's hard. That's something that you could probably work on in and of itself for the next few months. I know
Oh,
it is for me,
absolutely.
right? Like switching to be able, to accept that those comments, can be hard. And it has to come from a deep place of trust, right? Of knowing that he's not mad about it. He's really looking out for you.
Yeah.
We can't
And that is
always see
hard
it,
because,
right?
yeah, because usually that during that conversation, I do cry. It's not because of the things he said, it's because of things that I'm like, oh my gosh, you're totally right.
Yeah, you're so
And
overwhelmed.
yeah,
And another thing that I recommend to most people is that if it is hard for you to take that time because you have that productivity guilt of like when you're spending time on fun stuff and actual you time, you're like, oh, I should be folding the laundry, right? So set a timer, right? For like
yeah,
5 minutes, 15 minutes, because that is still better than nothing. And
yeah,
then you won't get too far gone without checking in, right? So maybe 15 minutes.
yeah.
And then when your timer goes off, you just assess with yourself. Do I still feel stressed? Do I really need, is that still on my mind? Because if it is, go take care of it. Because it
Yeah.
really doesn't, it isn't as effective to try and do it, to force yourself to do the me time, right?
Right.
If you're still really feeling guilty about something else. Or even put a limit on that, right? Like if you're feeling really guilty about the laundry when you're trying to do something fun, go fold 5 pieces of laundry so that you made some progress and then see if that helps you be able to set it aside for now.
Yeah, that's
So
a good
just
idea.
putting those really tight boundaries on things can help us not feel torn in the two different directions, because it'll let us tell our brains, I'm going to do that next, or I have done some of that, so it's not as big a deal as you're making it out to be.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you.
If I can, I would also um make sure that you don't use your self-compassion time and your me time as currency for other work. Like if
Mm,
I do this, then I can get this. Like you wouldn't want, I think he said Harper, you wouldn't want Harper to be like that, right? You don't want
right.
Harper to feel
Mhm.
like you have to earn rest or you have to earn that time. So
Yeah.
make sure that you check your, I do it all the time, but like checking myself that rest and self-compassion is not currency for doing other work.
Yeah, or a reward, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what
Or a
I had said
reward. Yeah.
before. Yeah, like making rest a reward for finishing the to-do list that never actually ends, right?
Hmm.
And that
Yeah.
that's some of the hardest work. That's something that I'm still trying to unlearn and really struggling with. That's I think that might be what kind of like my goal for the year is to really try to dig into more of that productivity guilt, because I see like we all have it. It's the water we're swimming in, the air we're breathing. And so finding some ways to dismantle that and help people dismantle that stuff is something I'm really interested in. It's some of that anti-capitalist work actually, because a lot of it comes because of capitalism. My favorite topic. Okay, so I want to just run through my final notes for this so we can wrap up here so I can honor your time. So, this is a living document. It can and should change throughout the year, throughout the months, as things in your life change as well. But I do recommend that you find a way to see it regularly and check in, whether that's maybe background wallpaper on your desktop, or is it a sticky note on the top of your monitor? So, things like that help me for a while, and then I have to change it up because it just becomes part of the scenery. So be aware if that's you as well. It could be, a note in your planner. It could be digital. It could be in person. Whatever works best for you. And then connect with me on social. I am at Time Honored Coach on Instagram and Facebook. For now, we'll see what happens there. But for now, I am there. And I think we're all connected on LinkedIn as well, which is good because that one's special. That one's not an easy handle for me to tell. It's like Jen Roberts and then like a bunch of numbers. But so thank you so much for giving me your time, energy, and attention today. I do not take it for granted because I know there are a lot of demands on your time these days. And so thank you so much again. And that is it for me. Let me know, does anyone have any questions or anything else we want to say before we hop off?
Thank you.
Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you as well.
Awesome. You're welcome. And I will have the recording out next week for everybody.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.